show.
There you go.
I had to take the headphones off. That countdown is so loud,
You need to
blasting out my
quiet it down a
ears.
little bit.
We got to do something about that. It's a little loud.
Totally.
Oh, boy. Well, it's been a week. It has been a week.
Yep.
And as promised, it doesn't happen often, Jeremy. We left last Saturday's show with a promise.
We did.
There was going to be a drop and that we were going to have a fun guest.
Yep.
And guess what? The fun guest is in the green room.
We got a good one.
It's a thing. Do you want to pronounce it? Do you just want to get it out of the way? I know you're dying to do it.
Gilamon.
How many people? Well, I have to vote. I was all over that G. I was pronunciating that G hard. Gilamon. Till you phonetically sounded it out for me with the H-E-E-E. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, all the people in the Southwest are like, they just know how to say it. Because
it's a thing. They're running from it, right? Like they
Yeah.
have to check their bed and their shoes in the morning for it.
Yeah.
It's a thing. All right, cool. Let's, I guess we're not going to waste any time. While Matt is doing his formal intro and letting us know where he's at and what's going on, I will kick this thing around and do what I need to do on the back end and let you guys get up and running. So we'll do a soft fade. And Matt, get yourself presentable. We are coming to you.
There he is.
What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Honestly, I think it was quite a few months of trying to make this work. And then we
Yes.
got close enough to just say, you know what? Pause. Let's just wait. We'll wait and wait till February. And we waited for a reason. And it's exciting. Before we let you dive in and take all the Q&A, I think we should take a page from People's Playbook and let you do the formal introduction, who you are, what the official job title is, all that good stuff. So let it rip, sir.
All right. My name is Matt Higgins. I work at Horizon Hobby, specifically on the Axial brand, and I am the brand manager. Mostly, previously, last time we talked, I focused almost entirely on marketing. Now, a lot more of the different aspects of the business are funneled through me as a brand manager. It's a little bit different take on the title of brand manager than some other companies in the great wide world, where that is a marketing exclusive position. Myself, my counterparts on Losi and Arma, et cetera, we work on a lot of aspects of the business for each individual brand to kind of pilot the brands. So I work hand in hand with the PD team, which is the product development, which I did before because it relates extremely well with marketing. But now there's a lot more synergy. It doesn't really explain what I do, but I work in all aspects of Axial now.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, so you have your thumb on everything, kind of know what everybody's doing and kind of integrate it all into one.
Yeah, so that's what we're tasked with. So it's touching all aspects to make sure there's someone on point and accountable for all aspects of the business. That doesn't mean I do product design or I do wholesale or I do anything like that, but I'm involved in all aspects of that part of the business. So you're touching everything. So they have one person that is keeping track of and focus on all the different elements of a brand. Because it's a brand within a brand, right? I obviously everyone knows Horizon is a huge company in an RC, and Axial is one of many brands in there. So there has to be someone on point. Otherwise, no one's steering the ship.
Yeah, makes sense. That sounds like a lot.
It is a lot. It's been an adjustment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my background is in marketing and media. I got started in RC. There's a little background in '85 with the golden era of RC, racing, Hornets and Frogs like everyone else back in the day. And then fast forward, I stayed in the hobby, in and out with racing, but stayed in the hobby. And then in '98, I started doing some freelance work in the RC industry. And then in the very early 2000s, actually before that, I started working full time in the media side. And in the early 2000s, wound up at Air Age, which is actually my second full time job in the RC industry. And I eventually became the executive editor of RC Car Action, and then the group editor in chief at Air Age, which had a number of titles: Model Airplane News, Boat Modeler, Diecast X, and of course RC Car Action.
So no stranger to the big product family lines.
No, not at all. Yeah, so I was completely, and when I was at Air Age, it's complete immersion. You have to be really, really into the hobby, and if you are, it's awesome because you get to touch every aspect of it. Every brand, you get to work with so many people in products in different segments within the hobby. And then when I wasn't with Air Age, I had my own website, which was kind of heavily focused on rock crawlers and short course, like just the truck side. So like monster trucks, rock crawling, and short course were huge in 2012 around then. So I had a website in some YouTube stuff that just covered that. While I worked in some other media, I worked in some full-size mainstream media. And then eventually found my way back to the industry full time.
Pretty good pathway. I like it.
Sure is. That is super exciting. Jeremy, keep an eye on the comments for us.
Yeah.
And anybody there, like our go-to guys, Harold and Kevin, I do ask, if you're watching it now, make sure you kick over to the YouTube page. And if anybody's on the Facebook one, if you can share this thing around, if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you let people know where we're at. I really want to get this thing into the Axial fan page, where it will do the most benefit for everyone. But I'm having trouble doing that on my side. So if anybody there can do it, greatly appreciate it. I will keep trying.
So go ahead, Mike.
Nope, you go ahead.
Oh, so I was just going to jump into it. Like,
let it rip.
This release from this past weekend, the Gilamon, is a lot of people were comparing this product to past products or products of other manufacturers in a segment.
Sure.
And, I watch reviews. I watch all the main guys that got one and did their reviews on them. But I think what people are missing is it's a new segment. And
it's
this is a larger scale, so it requires larger terrain. And what I really kind of missed in all those reviews was somebody running it in a scaled up terrain, or somebody that's expressly trying to do that, to run it in a larger terrain where it might be make a little more sense. Coming from a lot of 10 scales and not a lot of 2.2s, because 2.2 just hasn't been prevalent here for a while. But really trying to stage this thing up as to what it actually is and what it's capable of. Was that the design intent behind this, was to create a new segment?
Absolutely. So yeah, we got to go like a little bit backwards to explain where we're at now. But the quick answer is absolutely. We wanted to create a new segment, something that was going to be new and exciting for everyone who is in RC or crawling or coming into that segment, but definitely something new and a new segment. But at the same time, we had the very popular Wraith on our mind. So Axial had a ton of success with that Wraith lineup, which was 10 scale, but it was a really big footprint, 2.2, and they had 1.9 versions of the Wraith. But we had that in mind, but so much has changed in the segment and just RC in general, improvements across the board. We wanted to make sure it was up to modern specs. And the other focus was we wanted to make sure we were introducing new innovation. So while we're creating a new segment, we wanted to make sure there was a lot of innovation in it. So like it was really intriguing and really a reason for people to dive into it and really get excited about something entirely new. Now, I do have to say, we didn't want to go too big because if people had trails they went to or had crawler courses, we wanted to make sure it could still play wherever you crawl. But we did it, like, I don't know if you saw it, we did a teaser where, you're going to need to find harder lines. This thing is going to be more capable. One, it's just bigger. The easiest way to make any rock crawler more capable is make it bigger. That's why wheelbases keep getting stretched, widths keep getting pushed out. Bigger makes quicker work of terrain. But at the same time, we didn't want to go so big that you couldn't use it if you had a crawler course in your backyard or a trail you hit or a place a club went to. It still fit there. Same playground in general, but new lines.
Yeah.
Your old lines will be boring.
Yeah, and that's like when we look at the recent 2.2s, like the Wraith, I had a Wraith when they first dropped, and it was a great rig for that time period. Now, if you try to re-release the Wraith as a reborn right now, it probably wouldn't do as well, just because of what you said. The expectation has grown.
Exactly.
Industry has changed, and people have tried to make these things happen on a platform in the past, but without the success that I've seen. I haven't experienced it yet, but the ability to do that individual lockout it's been tried in the past and never really worked, or the parts never really got released. But this one seems to be working. And on top of that, you've added provisions to put it in the transmission and the front axle as well. So you can get down to one-wheel drive if I'm tracking that right. I don't know what I'd love to try to see what that would do, but I mean, you're pushing the envelope. And for my channel and my people, the builders, what can they create out of this platform as well? So people aren't just looking at it for what it is on the surface, like a new hobbyist would be, but the builders are looking at it from a different perspective as well. And I think you answered the nail on that with this product. I think it has a lot of benefit, and I can't wait to see where it's at a year from now.
Yeah. So like one of the things we talked about when we were doing the product development on this is, we knew just putting ASD would be an improvement over dig, and just in the rear axle would be enough. But if we put it into the transmission and the front axle and made the thing readily convertible to four-wheel steer out of the box, people would be doing things, both modifications and just skill-wise crawling, that we didn't even think of. We wanted not even know for our own sake the potential this rig would have. Meaning where there's just so many innovative combinations and things you could do that we're going to see over the next year and on. And that's what's going to be fun. That's what we want to do. We wanted to create, really bring the segment alive, and it's really kind of encourage people to go, start building again.
Yeah. And that's like, I know a lot of people are going to ask this question. So I'm just going to jump in.
Sure.
Everybody's just going to want to know, is there a kit coming, or complete axles coming as option parts? Or
so the easy part there is you could right now order a assembled steerable axle. So if we knew people want to do four-wheel steer, so we made sure we addressed that right away. Will eventually we would consider selling the front and rear axles as a assembled package together. It'll be kind of pricey, because again, there's a lot of packaging manual. It's not just the parts, because we don't just put parts in a bag and sell them when we do like axles or components like that. But we're not going to do that right away. We want people to get used to the platform, see what they could do. And as far as an overall kit version, I wouldn't say never, but I can tell you I haven't put any pen to paper on a kit version now. I grew up in the kit era. I was a slow convert to RTRs, but the reality is if you go into any hobby store and ask them how kits sell, you are in an exceptionally different hobby store if they're like, oh yeah, kits sell.
Yeah. I mean, I would be surprised if you sold a kit like one for every 10 ready to runs.
Yeah.
But as a kit builder growing up again myself, it's the best way to learn a truck is to assemble it.
Yeah.
But people don't have time for that like we used to. So I get the ready to run necessities. But it's good to hear that the axle kits are coming, and there's going to be builder availability on these, even if it isn't a full kit yet. Maybe down the road, kind of what you did with the Rift, something along those lines.
Yeah. So Axial, we're never going to turn our back. Not that people are turning their backs on kits, but we're never going to go completely away from kits. We have the Base Camp Builders kit. We have the Pro, which is a kit. It wasn't that long ago that we had a Capra kit, a Rift kit. So we're by no means, it's not that it couldn't happen. It's just not what we need to do with this product right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't want to introduce it right off jump as a full assembly kit, and you're going to need all this extra electronics to go with it. That's completely understandable.
But they did give you the 5-channel radio out of the box. That's a great feature.
The receiver.
The receiver is, the radio is technically a 3-channel.
3-channel radio, right, with the receiver 5-channel, which upsell.
I mean, I'm a Spectrum guy. I got Spectrum radios all over the place. So seeing the 515 in it is very encouraging. That was a definite thumbs up plus for me to see that in there. And it makes a scalable package, right? So even if you don't keep with that, the Spectrum system, if you're modifying it for all the channels that you can put in it, it's still, there's value there. Like a 515 receiver has value. So, a lot of people look at that for modifications later on down the road.
Yeah, that's just a nod to our customers. It makes it so much easier. If they want to do 4-wheel steer, boom, it's right there. But you're not, when we do an incorporated ESC receiver, and these things have their place. I love the motors, and I never thought I would say this. I love the motors with the incorporated speed control. All right, the 2-in-1. But like I said, I'm a habit or a creation of the era I grew up in with RC. Everything's separate components. Everything should be kits. The whole idea years ago of somebody else assembling my shocks was like blasphemy. Now I'm like, please. And then with these components, I never thought I liked the 2-in-1 motor. Love it. But with the receiver in speed control is 2-in-1. Not that it doesn't have its place. It's very appropriate cost saving for the consumer when we do that. But for a vehicle like this, we knew right away people are going to want to make changes. And why make them replace a receiver, speed control? Most likely they're going to do the motor at the same. I'm like, we're making, it might not seem like a lot, but you're saving a ton of money by having that 5-channel receiver in there.
Yeah, it's like a $70 savings right there.
Yeah.
But, for the people that have, electronics ready for it to come in, Matt included in the chat, like we saw what it was and we were like, yep, this is what it's going to need. We know it's a 550. You gave the parts breakdown, so we know the pinion size. Those things are kind of important for the people that don't have it, that want to be ready. So things that are also included in this is there's a new servo in there. You want to say anything about that? The micro, the metal one.
So both the steering servo, small change, it's a waterproof Metal Gear servo. But the small change we did there, again, just kind of a nod to the customers. We went with a 25 spline. And the reason we do that is, back in the day, there was probably 3 or 4 prevalent spline counts. And now it's thankfully narrowed down to 2. Spectrum and a few other brands were on 23. A lot of the aftermarket industry had, for whatever reason, aligned to 25. There are advantages either way. But because people like the kind of the more precision of the 25, we went with that just to make it easier. So if you want to replace a servo with a Reefs or a Spectrum, it's just easier. The more common 25. On the micro side, we up-spec this a little bit more heavy-duty micro servo. The reality is those servos they're asked to do a lot, whether it's a dig, a 2-speed, ASD like this. So we had to go with the best micro servo we could reasonably go with in an RTR package. It is a very good servo. It's asked to do a lot. And there's a lot of different opinions on this, but for me, the best thing you can do is make sure your endpoints are adjusted well, and that servo will last a long time. Without a doubt, people who are either doing comms or have different performance expectations will upgrade. Some people upgrade just because they can upgrade.
Yeah.
But it's a good servo. It's a new servo for us, relatively. And like I said, the best thing you can do is just make sure those endpoints are adjusted well, so you're not burning the thing out unnecessarily.
Yeah, endpoint management is probably the most overlooked thing in the new hobbyist. They're like, it came out of the box this way.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always mean that it's right. It just came out of the box that way. So having that retailer or using social media or whatever to find an answer on how to make that better, it's usually after they've burned up the piece because they didn't understand. And then once they have to replace it, then they're educated on it, unfortunately. But yeah, setting endpoints is, I answer that question a lot every day. How do you do this on this radio? How do you do it on that radio? And the radio that you're given with this has the Bluetooth module. Correct me if I'm wrong. It has a little cap on it that you can put the Bluetooth module in to use your cell phone to program it.
Tell you the truth, I'm not super sure. I have a bad habit because I have all the programmable computerized radios. I usually
You're right.
don't spend a ton of time with RTR transmitters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time with that transmitter. I still have mine on the stock transmitter.
Mike's hold it up. Yeah, it has the little thing for the Bluetooth module, so you can set the endpoints right in that radio.
Oh, sick.
Yeah,
Bind it right to an app, and it is needed because one of the things I noticed, the cup break, the ASD, it works, but there is sometimes where if you don't have that endpoint set right, it does want to. Now it was cold, but it locked, and I had to back up a hair, let it click into place, and then go.
Yeah, this little module right here, and they're pretty cheap, and from Spectrum, and you plug it in the top of that radio, and you can manage all your settings on your iPhone.
Love it.
I do it when I go to events. I always take this with me because it never fails. Somebody needs an endpoint adjusted or direction reversed or something like that. You can do it with this instead of playing a Tetris. Because that's the other.
Yeah, that's why I don't bother with any of that. I just I go right to I love the rugged for the rock crawlers. I go right to that. I use the Pro or the new IX SR for my race stuff, and otherwise I'd have transmitters everywhere if I.
Yeah, and this isn't a dig, but I'm still waiting on 6 to 10 channel receivers for those new radios.
I know, right? Me too.
Got a rugged 6R and I still have 5 channels.
You'll get your receiver, but it was like there was no point in holding up the main product for the receiver. But I ask those guys that all the time too. I'm like, you did Jeremy, right with the transmitter, but
Jeremy, we can't go any further without talking about the the sexy stance, in that droop, the squat and look at this thing is so good.
Yeah, and it looks so good when it's sitting.
Correct.
On
Not up in the air. No,
yeah,
no,
lift it up.
sitting. That
It's like an ugly baby when you lift it up because it's
everything
Always
drops.
Yeah.
all floppy. But the design is droop, and that's a first again for Axial, is having a droop shock set up out of the box.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, because you got to realize thousands of people, their first introduction to rock crawlers are going to a hobby store. They're seeing their expectations. They want to see springs. They want it to look like it could climb over stuff. And honestly, it does. Most, like 90% of people who rock crawl are rock crawling stuff in their backyard, a log from their wood pile, a rock here, like ground, just being able to clear and ground clearance stuff. They would be dissatisfied with a low slung belly dragon true rock crawling machine. They just would. They'd be like, what is this thing? It doesn't crawl over a log, until they learn how to move their wheels and hit stuff at the right angles. So the stuff that delivers the optimal performance RTR is different than how somebody who really fine tunes and has different driving skills. So, and that's what people like online have a hard time like realizing. If they've been in the hobby for 10 years, maybe not everything is made for them.
Yeah,
it's made for them to be able to do what they know they can with it. But if everything came out as a cheater rig with funky super chopped bodies and 13.5-inch wheelbases, people walk in the hobby stores and be like, what's that?
Yeah. That's very true. And it's not every product is for every person out of the box, but the hobbyist, a true hobbyist will have that vision instantly and say, I know what that should look like for me, but it might look different for you.
What I could do with it.
The possibilities.
Yeah. Where this, so like, this is a higher price, $579.99. It's a higher price point. It's made for the crawling segment. We're not trying to lure in somebody who, who's this not their very first RC car. It may or may not even be their first crawler. So yeah, we drooped it down. It is a different type of suspension. It's really a lot of performance, where some other vehicles are like, all right, we're going to go on scale and then get as much performance as we can with the RTR. And we know what people are going to do. They're going to add, change the links, change the motor, change the servo, change the shocks. The sky's the limit. We want to make sure they have the palette, but not necessarily the finished piece of art for the 10-year plus guy.
And I couldn't think of a better way to introduce a droop setup than on a 2.2 rig. Like, it's got the tire clearance to overcome the droop stature.
Yes.
If you tried that with a 1.9 smaller tire, you'd have different reactions, because it would be hard to crawl new, I guess.
Mm-hmm. No, that's exactly it, right? Somebody takes this, those tires are going to hide a lot of, you'll still be able to get up and over a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the tire choice for that, the scale tire that you have on there looks fantastic.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I was watching Mike's video. Mike has his, so he drove his. And we have cold weather up here in the Northeast. And actually, everybody that I saw driving it in the cool weather seemed to be doing okay with it. It's kind of funny, because that usually isn't the norm. Usually we're like, it's cold here and tires turn into solid blocks and they don't have any traction. But it seemed like they grabbed snow really well. So that's kind of interesting to me.
So the thing people have to remember with tires is that it is impossible to make everyone happy with a tire.
Yeah.
So it's
kind
of
a slice of life.
a silly thing. Some people, whether it's just some people are going to like certain brands, just the cosmetic, the look, the amount of sidewall, this, that. Then the tread is going to work somewhere. It's going to cake up with mud somewhere, or somewhere else work perfect on rock. The compound might work really good in cold weather. We've tested this in California, Utah, North Carolina, but before we released it, and where it works really good in some places where I am, it's a lot of dirt in between the rocks. There's a lot of clay content and cakes up. That doesn't mean it's a bad tire.
Right.
I just switched to a bigger lug super swamper from Proline. A little bit different compound, not their Predator compound.
Yeah.
Works perfect. If you're uncomfortable with changing tires to find the ideal tire for your area, rock crawling is probably not for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like an indoor track where it's, you got black carpet, this is your tire.
Yes, right.
Like that's true everywhere you go. It's always black carpet is that tire, gray carpet is that tire. Rock crawling is not like that. My piece of slate here in Maryland is different than Mike's piece of slate in Pennsylvania. Like it's it doesn't follow over. But Tanner raised another good question. Why not a bead lock on this one?
Sure. So that's a hot debate, internal thing. We actually, and that comes down to, we look all the different possibilities we could do so to go 2.2, which we were committed to, the bead lock versus glue up, it was strictly what cost savings we could pass on to the consumer. So it meant a lower cost for you for something we knew you would replace anyway. So we're like, all right, if we go with a bead lock and it ends up costing a little bit more, it's going to be a composite bead lock. They're going to want to go aluminum. So why charge more for something you're likely going to replace? If bead locks are important to you, you probably want one that's aluminum, at least an aluminum hex area, a lot of torque going to this thing. You're not likely to strip these out, but it seemed like a unnecessary place to pass a cost on.
Yeah. And quite honestly, again, I'm ready.
Right?
I'm ready. But it's, for a setup like that, that very, very taste specific. Yeah, I can totally get behind the glue-ons. I got no issues with it, and it does keep the price point down. So you would be pushing.
That's what it came down to.
$6.25, $6.50 if it had true bead locks. It would be a different market.
You can trade out the bead locks, and we got a disco. Did you see the disco lights? Complete, 6, 8 changing color LED lights. What a cool little extra.
Yeah. So again, behind the scene, it's never. I don't know what people imagine it's like, but there's a lot of meetings where we're talking about like what should stay, what has to stay, what back and forth on different things, and those lights are one thing that like a lot of people were really insistent on it. Like we know people like them when they're there. We knew we could do the multi-colors, which people would like because they're going to do. Everybody in rock crawling is going to make it their own. So the graphics are going to change. Like there's a good chance it'll match your graphics or could. So yeah, that's a cost, but we thought it was a worthwhile accessory to include.
Yeah, quite honestly, right out of the box, it's a wow factor, right? You got this underglow rock light thing going on right out of the box. It fits. Would I rather have headlights and taillights, or would I rather have rock lights? So it's, I don't know. I think it's easier to get headlights and taillights.
Another debate. As a full size off roader, I'm kind of I'm not a huge like when I hear rock lights, I'm like, oh, and we started refitting these for this project, and one of the guys came up with the idea of making the clamping mount to the tube so you can move them anywhere. So listen, if you want headlights, put them on white light, mount them in front. So I was like, all right, we could kind of answer everybody fairly well with these. You can move them where you want them. And I don't know if it's really like an Easter egg, but another thing that if you look at the back of the cage, there's 2 little mounts. A lot of people are thinking those are for ditch lights or light buckets, those are for whips. So you can get aftermarket whips. Again, you'd never see this in my Jeep in real life, but people love these.
Yeah.
You see them all over the trails in Moab down to southern Utah to California. They offer them in RC, so that's what those mounts are for.
Yeah, we had a what's his name, Mike?
My Trick RC. He
No.
does the light up. Oh, you're thinking of Twisted Tree, right?
Twisted Tree. Yeah, he has the ones like the tennis ball or the flags. But yeah, My Trick RC has the light ups. Pitbull RC has the light ups. So yeah, the whips
are a thing.
They're a thing. Yeah. Okay.
Well
like
thought out.
Yep.
So the Droop, the ASD, hands down, tons of fun. The interior, I'm hoping that this is going to be in the bullseye, in the radar of James Knight. I just have to put it out there. I am hoping that one day we will get to be able to print and detail something out with this. There's just so much real estate inside that buggy cage to do something super scale.
Yeah. So like for me, I'm the interior comes out kind of guy. But when we designed, if you look, so the interior, it could be all accessed from the top easily. And the reason for that is then a 3D printed interior or an aftermarket molded interior is easy to retrofit and install for people. It's the same thing with the back. We know we're going to see a lot of 3D accessories for the back, either cargo beds for scale gears. People love to make it every rock crawl look like they're going on a 48-day journey.
Yeah.
So we
Who
want to
would
make sure
do that?
I think that was a dig at you, Mike. I've seen some of your builds.
Shots fired.
I like seeing a rig with one driver and 3 sleeping bags, a ladder. Where is this guy camping?
Where are you going?
A cord of wood. So the back, and then fuel cells, like all that stuff. It's like it's meant to be like a canvas. We know our audience, rock crawlers in general, want to make it their own.
Yeah.
So
clean slate. Go.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
We're gonna see some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, it's like
the $1 million question.
Like, just put a single driver interior in it. Like scale it up a little bit. Like that's the kind of stuff that people need to see and do and be creative. And I can't wait to see, what comes of all the 3D designers, especially Knights to do that. It's going to be killer.
Out of the box, Jeremy, I know you saw Matty, Scale Builders Guild, his unboxing, and the detail that they put into the driver head, down to that authentic, like biker style, skateboarding style helmet, looks so like KOH, like right off King of the Hammer.
Well, it reminds me of Hellenbach, like the 24/7 Hellenbachs, because they wear that pink helmet whenever they have to get recovered. So like that, those.
So that's an authentic helmet. Like, a lot of times, like, it's really easy to put the motocross style helmet on a guy because you don't have to go through all the trouble, the really deep details of a face and whatnot. But I was like, really, nobody. You go to these trails, nobody's using those. You're using purpose-built off-road helmets that protect your head if you hit a rock or a bar, but it's not like a motocross helmet where you're flying off a jump. That was one thing we wanted to make sure it was just more authentic, even though we know people are going to go in all different directions. We actually spent a lot of time, and we want to make it a couple instead of two guys crawling together for the first time. Just little details.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to do their own thing. Like for me, like I said, first thing I do, I take the interior out, whether it's my Capra or this, my 10 scale, dollhouse trucks and trail rigs, they have interiors and, all that stuff. But my rock crawlers, it's coming out.
Yeah. If it's a line killer or something like that, yeah, it's unnecessary weight at that point. Yeah, and this is not a go fast. Like this is a slow and steady
Yes.
rig. It's not a Rift.
No,
so
not to be confused with the Rift. Obviously, they complement each other in the sense of our like whole portfolio. But like a rock bouncer and a rock crawler, other than having that word rock in them, they're totally different.
Yeah,
totally different.
agreed. This is not your rock bouncer. It's got trail buggy behind it though. It will.
Yep.
It's just tons of fun. I do think that the helmets are an exclamation mark on this whole all new concept. It's just that little. It's just showing how new everything is, down to the detail.
I'll show you. I have some of the parts here, but I'll show you something that's cool. Like one of the things I'm going to put on is the aluminum body panels. All right. So when we did the 6 scale honcho, we put just a little bit of aluminum panels on the side. For the reason is we wanted something that could, and this sounds like so counterintuitive to people who aren't into rock crawling. We wanted something that could scratch and dent and show trail wear.
Yeah.
That was such a hit. Even though it was such a small thing, we decided to do the panels for this. So we have the hood panel, of course, the roof panel, and then the side panel. And what's cool, this will never show up here, is the roof panel is a different gauge than the side panel. So this is very thin, and this will gouge, dent, and scratch. The roof panel is much thicker. You could dent it and bend it, but it's much more like, and especially like the hood where you actually don't want that because you're pulling up on it to install the battery. So like little stuff like that, a lot of thought goes into that. Make sure we got it right. These are going to be awesome on these rigs. I'll definitely be putting the side ones on.
Yeah,
because it's gonna look so much more authentic than polycarbonate.
Yeah, I love the aluminum look on it. I thanks for showing those. And on that point, you have a lot of scheduled upgrades for this thing. Like you have a lot of aluminum parts already ready.
Yeah, you could order those right now. Titanium links. People again. That's not a few years ago. I know there's a lot of aftermarket companies offering them now, but it wasn't that long ago. I never would have thought about putting titanium links on my rock crawler. Now you could get these right out of the gate. You could order these titanium links. They're much lighter. They're super strong. And it's just the cool factor of titanium. We also have the ring and pinion gears. You don't have to wait. We have the portal gears. Portal gears, if you've ever changed, it's a super easy way to make a huge difference. Doesn't take a lot of time to change the portal gears. So we have underdrive set and overdrive set. Right now, you could order them. All the brass stuff, it's amazing how quickly the aftermarket community can respond to a new vehicle. But even then, we don't want people to have to wait. So we have heavy brass portal boxes. These are machined. We have the portal box covers. And the advantage when you buy them from the factory ones, they're going to fit. There's a lot of times I buy stuff all the time. It's amazing what's out there. I get it. And it's a little bit of a get what you pay for, and the fit and finish, a little like it binds. There's nothing a file, a few swear words, and a Dremel can't fix, but it is nicer when you spend money. It works right out of the gate. So these fit perfectly. And then you could add the weights. So the weights go on. So you could, if you rock crawl, getting the weight in the right spot lowers your center of gravity and improves the stability of the vehicle when you get it down low and out wide. So you don't have to wait for that stuff. You could order this vehicle, and if budget allows, you can start adding to it. And it's a pretty, like you said, it's a pretty long list of parts. And we know, and Axial loves to play well with the aftermarket community. So we look forward. We don't see that as competition. We see it as everybody's experience is getting better. So there's a bunch of companies they're going to be offering stuff right at, as soon as they can for this. And it's going to be great to see the different approaches everyone takes.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%. Jeremy, Trill is waiting.
Yeah.
Castle is waiting. Reef Shift, there are people ready to start jumping on this.
yeah. I've had my phone calls. Like,
Yeah.
I got the requests. Like, hey, are you getting this? We're designing, or we're doing XYZ. I don't know how they do that, but like, I've had conversations with Thomas at Castle. Like, hey, what's the final drive ratio of the transmission? Which I promised him I would ask you today. I don't know if you know that off the top of your
I
head.
don't know off the top of my head. It's low. That's
It's slow. It's slow.
Yeah.
So we're taking some educated guesses on a KV and a CAN that'll fit in this. But yeah, I already went through the servo specs. I know what to expect there. I know, Trill Hobby. I work with Trill as well. So Trill is, they're chomping at the bit to get started on it.
Ready.
So yeah, I love to see the aftermarket come after these. One, you guys sell more, and two, people are actually using them probably a little harder than they were intended to use, because now they got all these upgrades on them. So.
Yeah, it just keeps pushing the envelope. We love it. It's always been something we've really embraced. And it wasn't that long ago that Axial and say Proline were completely separate companies. And if you remember back in the day, we were partnering with them on projects that have like a good synergy. Just the customer benefits from it. Both companies benefit from it. We love, we'd love to see what Castle comes out. Obviously, Spectrum's going to come out with great stuff. They obviously have it well in the works, but we like to play well with others.
Yeah, it's obvious. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time.
Can we touch on the sticker on the
Sure,
axle?
absolutely.
Is there a reason why sticker is on the axle?
So
Matt Cat, listen up here.
Yeah. All right. So what we have is a very complicated mechanism in the top that has a lot of moving components. For that to work perfectly, it needs to be clean and without debris and contaminants. The sticker, if there's any discrepancies in those molded pieces coming together, the sticker takes care of that. So if you look at the top of the axle housing, there's the top link mounts. There's a through bolt, right through screw, and it has a nylon nut on the end. If you crank that, I would just lose the nylon nut, because if you crank that down, you force those things to pull apart, and you create a little bit of gap on the top of the axle housing. It's not going to hurt anything, but it could allow debris inside. Now, for me, not an issue where I run. If you run it in SoCal and there's a lot of dust, it could, depending on how long you run it between maintenance, it could be an issue. So it's no different than a gasket anywhere else than any other type of thing. It's just a preventative measure. A lot of back and forth on that topic, whether we wanted to do it. We thought it was this ounce of prevention type deal. Given that all that stuff moving back and forth is right underneath there, we're like, let's go for it. We'll have a better success rate for the customer. It's very easy if they do maintenance to cut a little piece of Gorilla Tape and put it back over, or you could run it without it. None of these, on any of these RC cars, are the hard parts waterproof. Yeah. So if you think your axle housings are waterproof or your transmission is, you just haven't found the right depth of water.
It's not, but I haven't found one yet.
Yeah, right.
Reversible.
So it doesn't completely seal it. It prevents an easy spot from dust getting in. Is it necessary? No, you don't have to run it. But we're like, we don't know. It's not like we're there with everyone running it in every sort of condition. So we're like, let's just go for it. Put it over there. There can be a slight gap. like I said, I recommend just taking that nylon nut off to make sure you're not over cranking. That if you look at it, you'll see what I'm talking about. As you tighten that is going to increase that part separation a little bit. You couldn't fit a tiniest pebble in there, but
Right, right.
nuts.
Yeah, dust, sand.
Yeah,
It's I mean, even water has minerals in it. So
Right.
I mean, there's always going to be deposits. So no matter what you're doing with it, other than setting it on your shelf in a glass case, seems familiar. It's going to get something in it eventually. It's going to fill up with something. So just do maintenance. CowRC.
Yes. Hey,
Yeah.
this is supporting other brands. This is playing friendly with CowRC.
Yeah,
So,
and where you run, you see these warnings that if you none of us actually read these warnings, but if you look at all the pamphlets for all the stuff we buy, conditions impact maintenance schedules.
right.
I will probably never have to worry about it where I run. Yeah, in the clay bound type dirt, but other places where it's really unusually dusty, yeah, your maintenance schedule is going to be a little bit different. There is a lot of moving parts there in the axle.
Matt Coker is calling me out to run these in the fix. So
I figured we were looking for a G6 certification on this thing. 100%.
It'll do it.
It is tailor made for the G6.
We can do it in July. We're going to be there no matter what. So
this thing has got certification written all over it here.
I'm not, I got some. Yeah. Maybe by July I might be okay. Okay.
We'll have to talk in detail about getting these things lined up. Getting that Recon G6 certification on it. No. Not destroying mine. Oh, sugar. So what is the timeline? What are we looking at? Are these things 100% available shipping? Are they ready to ship right now? What is?
Yeah, if you look at the website is like, it kind of gives you like a worst case scenario. They're going to ship at the very end of this month or the very beginning of next month. So that is the window. Usually when we announce stuff, we're looking at 2 weeks before we're pushing it out the door. And the reason for that is we have warehouses in California and we have warehouses in Illinois. And there's 2 ways we could get stuff to Illinois. Not that anybody cares about these details. We could truck it or rail it. So we need a little bit of window. We need a little bit of wiggle room. Now, in the future, we may do releases where, like, we announce something on a Thursday, and you could literally go look at it at a hobby shop that day.
Okay.
That kind of coordination is not easy to pull off, and everybody has to play nicely. Which we saw with this release. Not everybody plays nicely.
Yes, we did.
Talk about getting to the finish line. You guys kept a lid on this thing until the night before.
Yeah, what difference did it make? So yeah, that happens.
Every time it happens.
For me, it doesn't. We put out a teaser on Tuesday that something was coming to kind of prime everybody. As far as it getting leaked, that is kind of a bummer. Because then what happens there is, a lot of people give in to the temptation of like negativity and then speculation.
Yes, they're assuming
they're like close cousins. And it's really hard to participate in the conversation when, if say that leak happened at 3 and I could be like, all right, we're going to just go live. But when it happens at like 8:05
and everybody's done for the day.
Yeah, I'm like, do I really want to call somebody at home on the web team and be like, look, I know I said 8:15.
Pull the cord.
We're going to do it at 8:15 the day before.
And there's, it's a lot of conversation is taking place on this on the the side of the influencers. Like I can understand that from their perspective. They put a ton of work into making sure people understood the product, from their perspective, and that, at their use with their viewership of people, of like-minded people that click subscribe and all that. They put a lot of work into that, a lot of effort. And I appreciate them for that. And I know it's not easy, especially, something of this magnitude. I mean, it takes some resources to do it.
Sure.
And for somebody, to take a screenshot of a private conversation and then just blow it all over social media is, unfortunately, we have people like that out there.
Yeah.
And, don't do that.
But that's the downside of them wanting to partner with the hobby shop early and have a truck there on the day of the release.
Right.
You're putting yourself in this vulnerable spot to get so many more leaks.
So that, like, I'll give you a little interesting backstory. So not everybody who works in the RC industry is an RC enthusiast, of course. So like when you need a logistics person, you hire from the outside. Somebody comes in. They have a lot of business talent or strictly logistics, and they're like, oh, we could do a launch where we go everything live at once. Now, everybody likes that idea, and they have all the pieces and knowledge to make it happen. But you're in a room with them, and you're like, you just don't get RC people. So like they're so passionate about it that it's very hard for people to contain themselves.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm just going to tell my buddy. Well, he's going to tell his buddy.
Yeah.
And he's, so yeah, we have a lot of internal back and forth, but we're working towards that. I think the consumer wants that. I know if I'm passionate about fishing, if I see a new Penn reel, I don't want to wait and wait and wait. I'll forget about it. So we'd love it if we announced something and you could go right into the hobby store and check it out, and then their order arrives over like the next week, and you could you pre-order it, having touched and held and seen it, maybe driven a demo, and then a week later you come and pick up yours.
Right. Or some of the manufacturers now are like, we're not telling anybody anything until they're in the warehouse and I can put a label on it and ship it the same day that I release it. And consumers do appreciate that. And it does make a difference. But the problem I see with that sometimes is, if that's a California business, the East Coast is a week behind. All of California gets theirs the same or next day, and the East Coast is waiting for that ship wave to come over. And then
we're a little better because we're a big enough company. We have multiple warehouses, but still, it's not going to be perfect. Most of your business, like whether you sell vacuum cleaners or RC cars, you do a lot more business on the coast. Yeah. So if you're East Coast, even with the Illinois warehouse, there's no way you're getting it the same day as somebody who lives, right in SoCal.
Yeah. It's not even close.
So are we calling this a pre-order? Is that 100% what this is?
Yeah, you pre-order it now. It'll be here. Be here and out the door in a couple weeks. We're at the very end of this month, very beginning of next month. We've had a lot of things, unusual weather on both coasts that have delayed stuff. There's always variables. We had a lot of stuff in California, horrible, life-changing wildfires followed up by mudslides. We had stuff, just stuff that should have been normal time schedule stuff going awry. Just because that is like a domino effect impacting shipping in that whole area.
So what is the timeline on the aftermarket support? Not aftermarket, your brand support.
Right behind it. Either right
behind
with it or behind, like slightly behind it. But yeah, like order it. If it's there, I highly advise ordering it. Those quantity, we have a good idea what we'll do with the vehicle timeline. How the parts go will vary on how quickly other companies are able to respond. So if you want brass components and portal gears and aluminum things, I would pre-order those.
Okay. Which I'm sure they're going to go quick.
Yes.
Um,
It's to have it all come in one box, which is likely, that'd be
oh,
awesome.
wow. Could you imagine
A box inside of a bigger box inside of a bigger box. That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Pretty cool.
That would be cool. So can just a side note here on your new title. Are you still doing a lot with Proline?
So no, I've only, when it comes to Proline stuff, I like help fulfill orders for events and stuff like that. But I don't do. We interact daily.
Okay.
But that's John Clicius. He has been with Proline forever. He's one of the coolest dudes in the industry. One of the most talented guys in the industry. But Proline is his baby and always has been. I am just a Proline fanboy. Shamelessly admit it. But yeah, because there's so much synergy between Axial and Proline, like, people who, they make so many rock crawling parts. It's the easiest way to say it. I'm constantly sending Proline stuff out and about everywhere.
Yeah, they go together.
Absolutely.
It's not a serial killer, is it? I've seen this on TV. That wasn't a serial killer. That
No,
was
that would be cool, though. That'd be like way better than like a Law and Order.
I saw that movie. Didn't go well.
So
trying to lighten it up a little bit here.
Yeah. Well, I did like the tire option is fantastic. The Mickey Thompsons are gorgeous. The tutus were a joy to drive with, and I wanted to call it training wheels, and Jeremy quickly corrected, and it's about finding new lines. So the adventure for everybody with this truck is about going out, and I really think finding a whole new adventure. Like, there is so much opportunity to start over and just look at the trail completely different now. This truck is going to be a welcome addition, I think, into many people's fleets. 100%.
So, just talking about tires and people going in different directions and doing their own thing. I immediately put on the Proline Super Swampers and the G2 compound. Get those. They're taller than the stock tires. On the East Coast where you're rocks and dirt, great tire. Also check out like the Proline comp, like they're kind of comp pin tires.
Ooh.
Little bit,
yeah.
They're a little bit smaller than the Super Swampers, but about the same size as the stock tire, but they're a low profile. So if you're side hilling and stuff like that, dynamite tire. They don't come with foam inserts. You're going to use 3D printed inserts. You're going to see guys like Exo Cage RC making inserts for this weight of a vehicle. Because you can't just use any inserts. This is a heavier vehicle. Use, specific heavy vehicle inserts with those things. If you do a lot of side hilling, it's going to be dynamite. So you're going to see guys take like, I'm going to make this like a hardliner comp approach. Mine, I wanted to just be able to dominate anything I put in front of it. It's like the Super Swampers. And then you're going to see, obviously, all sorts of, you're going to see people like companies like J Concepts coming out with taller, bigger versions of existing pipework compounds and treads they have.
And they have some bigger tires already out there. They're a little hard to get right now. But they're in stock in different dealers. Pitbull RC has some 5.5s out there as well. So, like, you see that in the full size world as well.
Yeah, I love Pitbull tires. Like, I'm a huge fan of Proline. I've been a huge fan of Proline tires forever. So I love their stuff, but I've had great luck with Pitbull tires. Cool guy from the full size world making RC stuff. If you're rock crawling, you've obviously seen the J Concept stuff be successful. But yeah, like there's already great options out there, and we're gonna see stuff made specifically for this application. And right now, it's just great that you can just go right to Proline right now and pick up tires that are a great fit for it. And B-Lock, if you want B-Lock, they sell some really inexpensive composite B-Locks. That'll go. That's what I'm using right on it.
Yeah.
How about winch? As far as a winch location goes, because there was a question raised on the Scale Builder Guild on Maddie's review. Jeremy, help me out here. It was a winch that he was thinking would compress the
So
act.
Oh yeah,
I don't want to make
the
assumptions on what Maddie was considering, but the winch mount is in the chassis.
Yes.
And it's designed to go through the fair lead and down to the winch point on the front axle. And I think that's normal for the full size world.
Like it's called the suck down winch.
That's what we were looking at.
We do that in the full size world. Most people don't, but if you're doing aggressive climbs, you use a suck down winch. Now in the full size world, what we've done is what I've done, I know other people do it different ways, is use the ATV winch. It's separate from my main winch. Now in RC, what I usually do is I use a hook that goes over my front link. And I use it as a suck down winch if the rules allow or if no one's paying attention. That said, we wanted to have a more authentic suck down winch point. So you do just what you said. You mount the servo next to the transmission, built-in mount. Spectrum makes a low profile winch servo. Other reefs make ones that will fit right in. You run the line up and you hook it to that. And when you need to do a recovery, you unhook it as you would normally. And it's always there as a suck down winch. When you have a suspension, a droop suspension, everything is gravy until it unloads. If you have a suck down winch in front, you can control that. And that said, we're still going to see people in. This is one thing we thought about doing ourselves, and we wanted to see what the aftermarket community would do with straps. So we're going to see people strap the suspension front and rear. Now, I don't think you need to do it in the front with a suck down winch, but it is center mounted. If you have straps, it will control one wheel from unloading. So you're going to see people doing a lot of creative stuff, but the suck down.
I totally foresee Mike Kirby doing straps for these like he did for so many other vehicles. So Kirby, sorry about your fingertips. Your hands. He hand sews those.
Oh, it's crazy.
Still. So he's going to be there whittling away on those. So.
I was trying to get a close-up photo of that actual winch point. There is
the winch mount all the way back into the transmission. When you look at the exploded view, like you could put a spool style winch, like I know the Reefs product line, so like a 422 or a winch like that has an open spool on it, or just mount the internal spool upside down and let it. You can go front or rear at that point, depending on how you mount it. But yeah, there's a ton of options. You could use a micro 179 with the adapter in there.
Yeah, the adapter plate. You could
and use a really small winch if you're, I don't know how heavy this truck is, 12 pounds. Oh, if your 12-pound truck is too heavy, you might want to use a small winch. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, in RC we tend to like over winch. And I did that in the beginning. I was like, I want to hook it to a tree and watch it raise my vehicle in the air. And it's like, I don't actually ever do that in a comp or a trail situation. I'm not often getting stuck in mud or bound up like in the real world where I'd get mired down in sand or mud where I need a 12,000-pound winch to, unstick my Jeep. But so I ended up, my point is I ended up favoring speed. I got in comp situations where I just wanted a fast winch. These small winches were the way to go. What's cool about where they put the winch on this and why it's there is it puts the weight low and center as in the center or as close to possible, because so many of these winches are all metal cases now, aluminum, but they're a lot heavier than plastic servos used to be. So you wouldn't want it up by where the battery goes. The battery's a good LiPo battery, a 1300 LiPo battery weighs barely anything. It's not bad to have up front. You don't want to put a big metal winch up there.
Yeah.
Servo,
Yeah, and especially if you start looking at some of these brass winches and
now the
like
brass
that,
winch.
like if you need belly weight to keep those shocks smashed like that,
That'll do it.
good option for that truck. Those items have their place in RC, so don't worry, Sharif, I'm not bashing it.
Nope. I use one on my pulling truck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so yeah, there's a lot of options, and you could, I'm really waiting for the aftermarket to really embrace this. I think there's a ton of potential. I was telling Matt K, like in the front on that view right there, there's like a natural diamond in that hood bar line. Like I'd love to see a headlight, like a diamond shape or a triangle shaped headlight in there. Like that would just look fantastic. I was just begging for it. There's so much potential. Well done.
And I think you guys, Matt, are going to get exactly what you anticipated. You were going to get a lot of creative people doing exactly what you were hoping and going nuts.
Yeah.
Getting creative, thinking outside the box, and you probably haven't even thought of all the cool stuff and options that are coming. I'm sure My Trick RC is going to be getting on this right away with their own light kit. Everybody. There's so much potential.
3D parts, all sorts of suspension tweaks. But what's cool is like that inspires others. So like people, when you see a cool build, you're like, I want to do my version.
Yeah. On that note, I can do something. Now you told me I just think it's crazy how much you guys got inspired by real life. It's inspired by real life rock crawling, and this had nothing to do with the release date. The release date had nothing to do with King of the Hammers going on right now. Just dumb luck, happy timing.
Happy coincidence.
Yeah, there was nowhere at all even remotely close intended to be released in or around King of Hammers.
Okay.
Did you have them out there?
Like missing your target completely and hitting somebody else's target for like a bullseye and thinking, oh, that's pretty cool.
Were some of these out at King of Hammers?
What's that?
Was this out at the King of Hammers as like a
demo
secret
or
testing drive?
Yeah.
No.
There probably was one there, maybe with Justin, who does our social media, but that I'm not sure if he brought it or
because it kind of fit.
Yeah.
Next year, for sure, there will be at least one there. I'm positive of that.
Oh yeah.
One second.
So
as we're
earlier, somebody asked if there's going to be a specific class for these at Axial Fest, Badlands.
Yeah, we'll have, because there's a number of things we have to tackle, like events for them, show and shine for them. What I'd like to do is a special show and shine, like its own category, because it is all new, and just to kind of encourage people to bring their custom ones. So like we'll probably do, and I got to work with Andy because that is his baby. But what I'd like to see is a most creative Gilamon, which is kind of open ended.
Yeah.
But as a show and shine category. And as far as events, we'll probably have a course made specifically, like in the quarry, something set up specifically for this.
Yeah.
Probably like a type of thing where we could do it, like we'll find a really hard climb or hill, like off to the left there, where there's some stair step rocks, where you could, like ring a bell at the top or something where, it doesn't have to involve, you either make it or not.
Bill Riddle will figure something out. He'll figure it out. He'll find a way to test it. That's for sure. And David Pigg's saying that somebody had mentioned it has counter rotating drive shafts. Is that Is that a
Uh,
true?
understeer counter.
Yeah, to keep torque twist down. So a lot of times
We'll let Matt
people do
take that.
counter rotating.
I can't speak to
I
that.
don't remember seeing that,
I don't.
David.
What I can tell you, so the transmission does have 30% underdrive to the rear axle built in, but that has absolutely nothing to do with counter rotating.
Yeah.
Right. But the underdrive does work. Looks great. And again, that ASD, so much fun. I can't wait to do something with the front end.
Yeah, so the drive shafts are counter rotating.
Okay.
There
There we go.
That's a great observation. I never knows.
Yeah.
So many other things I was.
And that is important for a droop car, because the torque twist it'll jack the suspension.
Yeah.
A lot easier on a droop setup. So, good question, David. I didn't realize that. I was trying to find that other question. I lost my spot. Oh, the ASD. Can you move it right out, like as they're ready to run? Can you move the ASD out of the rear axle and put it in the transmission without any other parts needed? That way they could do front and rear dig.
So all the components, it should. So there's like one kit to add ASD, and it's the same for front, for an axle or the transmission. So in theory, you could. I haven't done it, so I wouldn't want to say 100% that you can. But
yeah, because a lot of people competitions. I don't think they saw this coming by any means, but locking individual wheels. I don't know if that's legal or not legal in like We Rock or something, but definitely front and rear burn is perfectly fine out of a gear transmission. So to be able to move it to that centerpiece to the transmission might be what they're looking for.
I think the last thing for me is those aluminum panels. I think just having the option to get that soft aluminum and show that authentic scale look as they start denting and scratching as you're scraping and grinding on the rocks, that's that little extra that's super rad. So rad.
Yeah, I'm stoked for those. This is going to be so much fun.
Matt Croker's asking if the diff gears are something completely brand new, or are they like a 10-3 style ring and pinion?
They're a new part number. I haven't tried fitting them. They should be a taller ring gear. I'm not saying they won't fit, but I have not tried that. It is a new part number, but
I'm sure somebody will do some part number comparisons, because like just we're used to manufacturers just taking advantage of reusing some of the.
Yeah, so so everybody loved that about, like, so you take AR45, AR44, or Gen 1 axles, all those, ring and pinions were interchangeable and it made sense. This is a taller ring gear. I'm not thinking it will fit, but I could get that answer from one of the PD guys.
So Mike, tear your truck down and send me a picture of the ring gear, and I'll tell you what it goes to.
Oh, it's been a crazy last couple days. I'm super stoked for Axial and this release. Like, you guys, you did it. You took a gamble. It's an investment. We all know what it takes to go into tooling, into the R&D and the design. It's not cheap to build a truck from scratch, from the ground up. And you guys took a leap of faith. It's not new for Axial to, you broke the mold with the SCX6. This isn't, outside your wheelhouse. But considering 2024 wasn't the greatest of years in the RC world, you guys took a gamble.
Well, I'm glad to hear you guys are liking it. Like, it's going to seem like it's going to take an eternity because we're so impatient about it, but we can't wait to see what people do with this, and that's what it's really all about.
And it will slowly start to gain traction in the next couple of weeks as they start landing in people's fleets and start doing the upgrades. I think it will
That'd be cool.
gain some momentum very quickly. That is exciting. This is exactly what 2025 needed. Something new. I love it.
Yeah.
Good
So
start.
we have, I'll tell you guys more stuff coming this year. Obviously, we have some products coming out here very shortly that people have been asking for. So we're
Okay.
answering a request, and then we have some also. This isn't the only brand new platform we have this year.
Cool.
I didn't even think to ask this question. Holy crap.
Somebody asked it in here, and Clayton's RC asked it.
I didn't think we'd
I
get
wasn't
an
going to
answer.
put you on the spot.
Are we going to get an answer? Come on, give us a tease. What is coming?
No, don't do that.
Yeah, there's
Let's
zero
try.
chance I can tell you what's coming, but like I said, we're answering a request, and that'll
Okay.
make sense in the next few weeks.
Okay.
And then we have some other stuff so this would I consider an all new platform, right?
Yep.
This is not our only all new platform this year.
Cool. Good to hear.
Wow.
Good to hear.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's
yeah,
a sh-
it's going to be a really good year. And people got to realize, not every single release is just for them. So when we come out with a release, like the Lexus SCX 24,
right.
if you're Joe Hardcore and that may not be for you, like going to the interweb and bemoaning and losing it over that probably isn't good for the look for the hobby.
No.
And you got to realize it may not be for you, but tens of thousands of people it was for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to take to get people to scroll past something that is not meant for them. Like the base camp. The base camp was another great example of that one that just got people and gave them a wedgie and got them all fired up. And you know what? Sometimes it's not meant for you. Just scroll along.
But one thing, we will not be able to make every single thing for you. Nothing is made to upset you. So
it's not a personal attack, is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's no personal attacks, but we just have to think of the big picture. In what people want when people walk into a hobby store, and no one disagrees that the SCX6 Honcho is super cool. But if you think everybody walking into a hobby store is going to spend $1,100 and then buy a charger and a battery, like it's no big deal, or they're going to look like, oh, I can get an SCX24 base camp for $99 and it has every upgrade component. There's an upgrade path that literally goes to Mars and back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for somebody. That product makes a lot of sense for a lot of people in a lot of hobby stores.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolute truth. Some people just need to scroll on.
Yes.
Just be happy that you're still making stuff, because the next one might be for you, but can't be.
And just think about supporting it, because you know what makes projects like this possible? Tens of thousands of people buying pink SCX 24s.
That is a thing. That's a thing.
Now it is very exciting for sure. We can't thank you enough, Matt, for coming on here with us and doing a little deeper dive and sharing some of the behind the scenes of what goes into something like this. Like you said, we're not there. We don't sit at the board table with you guys and can't always be a fly on the wall. And sometimes it's interesting to hear those topics of conversation, what stays, what goes, and who wins out in the end.
Yeah, you'd be blown away. Like that, some of the debates, how long it takes to come to agreement on color schemes, graphics packages, what's too much, what's too little, the amount of debate that happens, and you still have to like sweat out some of the other really, really important stuff. A lot of people, a lot of very talented people work on this for us and all the manufacturers from its, whether it's the aftermarket manufacturers making mostly servos to a company making, like Arma making all bashers and stuff like that. A lot of people are needed to make something like this a reality.
Yeah. I continuously argue with myself about paint schemes and all that stuff. Like it'll take me 6 months to have that debate, and that's just with me, and I have no talent whatsoever.
Right.
And I come up with crazy stuff. And I couldn't imagine trying to do it when you have like Warren and all these other industries that you're kind of getting them to sign up for something to put their logo on it, and then coming up with a complimentary scheme to it.
Yeah.
And
those guys are all different. There's some people, some companies that everything is a matter of approval, and that's very typical in the licensing world. Like everything goes to approval, and sometimes they will send you files with their design, so you're 95% there just by coloring in between the lines. And then there's some very famous companies who are like, well, we'll see what you could do.
Impress
like,
me.
all right. You never know. Everybody's all over the map. It's an adventure with every project.
And the debate continues all the way down to the day of the drop, where, what are you dropping it on first? Instagram, TikTok, where are we going to, what page does it go on? Like, there is so much that goes into something like this from start to finish. Much respect.
Joshua has a great question here before we
Sure.
part ways. Will that tech make its way into 10th scale?
Well,
not likely. It could, but like right here and now, not likely. It's something we really want to grow. That even if we could, we want to kind of grow this segment. We want to see the excitement there. I don't see it. I've seen like crazy small stuff on the 10 scale stuff that actually works, but working long run, two different things.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to squeeze into something at 10 scale. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you open up this housing and you see the beef of the parts, and then you try to scale that down. All those parts get smaller, and
Yeah, and there's things like
there's a reason it hasn't been
axle. That servo doesn't take away from it. Where you put a servo on a 10 scale axle and a steering servo, I'm like, I just think it works really well on this platform, this size.
Yeah,
you get some brass on this thing, it's going to have some weight behind it. I mean, this thing can add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, so I have one that's a very early prototype, but it has all the brass stuff on it, and it's dynamite.
Did you put it on a scale? Or
yeah,
12 pounds?
I have not.
Okay.
It's heavy.
The
I wouldn't want to drop it on my foot.
You should totally do a contest.
Over under to win it. Let's give it away right now.
Guess the weight of a fully kitted.
Yeah. What's great idea. I know how heavy I can make it, like just by the parts I've added on it, and I put on the extra weight rings. But I know people will double that. Because I see what people do with 24 scale when they tell me like, oh yeah, my 8-pound 24 scale. I'm like, you're what?
Why?
And then like what people do with 10 scale, like I do a little bit of truck pulling. I'm by no means very good at it, but I bought a sled we've had a couple events, and like, I'm like, what it takes to make a 10-pound or 8-pound, like a base camp with standard axles, not portals. You have to keep adding and adding, and people come over. I'm like, they have rigs from all manufacturers. Like, they just add every aluminum and brass part they could find. and like 12-pound 10 scale rigs. I can't imagine. You're going to see 20-pounders of this rig easily.
Okay. Wow.
Can't wait.
That okay.
Which is insane to me, but people will do it because
at least it's slow and you can see it coming.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about hitting anybody with it for now.
Yeah, for now.
So Matt wants to know how the name came about.
Me and the product developer, a lot of people weighed in, but we spent a couple meetings where he wrote down a series of names. I wrote down a series of names. We kind of broke names into categories. Animal inspired. We had like monsters, mythology, and we just kept breaking down stuff that we thought either kind of fit the way the vehicle crawled, like what it was trying to do. And we had Gila Monster as one of the things, and he came up with the shortened Gilamon based off the Gila Monster lizard. And again, we already had a couple meetings. We had a couple little side conversations and phone calls. And when he said that, it just instantly clicked. We knew it would work well. It was short enough to work well with graphics and box art. We knew right away. Look at that guy. That people would get it wrong in a fun way. So it was just like, doing right there. We just stopped. That was it. It didn't go to debate. We didn't ask what other people thought of it. It was from that point on. That was the name.
That's cool. That's cool.
I think this really helps stir up the economy. You guys are friendly, supporting the aftermarket brands. I think there's one I'm hoping that gets behind this. Either one of the graphics guys. I think Freaky Skins could do some.
Oh yeah, you have
new
like
vinyl.
Without a doubt, I thought of him myself. Like perfect product for that.
And with flat panels, like it's a no-brainer.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah. I mean, you can cut them out of the soda can.
If you have Windex and one working eye, you could put graphics on these things.
Love it.
Yeah, the potential is here. People, you've got the clean slate. The palette is yours. Just go crazy.
That's the idea.
Try and one up Jeremy Kilburn. That is going to be your mission.
We'll have to see if this guy will fit in there.
Oh shit! I removed them at the stage. Sorry, Jeremy, I booted you off.
You booted me off because I showed a boat thing on the Surface channel. I got it.
I was trying to make you bigger. But,
well. Boat things are real. Boat people, we have feelings.
Well, it is a Saturday night live Q&A with none other than Matt Higgins. Where will we see you next? Are they going to let you out from behind your desk to join us at Beat the Creek, or where are you heading?
I will not be at Beat the Creek due to conflict. We just had this conversation in the office. Now, if something changes, I might scoop in at the last minute. But way cooler than me, Andy and Isaac will be at Beat the Creek. I'm saying stuff that I'm not supposed to be saying. We had this conversation private on Friday morning.
It's only between us. It's okay.
But they're going in big because Andy's big, so that's the only way he rolls. We're talking, 30, 40 feet of storefront.
Wow.
You'll be able to purchase there. So when you're had too many and you're stuck in your campsite for the night, you could go buy a SCX 24 and run it in your campsite because you're too intoxicated to go on your night run.
It's
not that happens at these types of events.
Well, that's
I know
exciting.
people that it's happened to.
Yeah.
So will it be Badlands? Will
Yeah, I'll be
there?
Badlands.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything, I say that like there's so much other stuff that has to happen first. Those events, those are the under the ownership of our events team, Andy and Isaac. They are the pros at that. So when I can go, I go. I've been to Badlands. I've been to Proline by the Fire. I intend to be at Proline by the Fire. I intend to be at Badlands. Beat the Creek was penciled in until we talked about it, but I can't do two things at once. Yeah. Normally on a good day, I definitely can't be in two places at once. So
we'll let you off the hook there.
Yep.
And that's the world we live in right now. There is an event or two or three or four any given weekend. So you got to delegate and split up, divide and conquer. But Badlands is where we will see you first, and that's exciting about Andy coming to Beat the Creek. That's great for those guys. That's awesome.
But you didn't hear that here.
We didn't hear that here. That is only between us. We'll keep that on the DL. All right, Jeremy, you got any parting words for him? Last, you got all the questions squared away? You got
we got all the questions squared away. I just want to thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you guys.
Time away on a Saturday night. We really appreciate that. And thank you for getting a great product out to the RC community and keeping it real. I super appreciate you. Thank you.
Hope people love it. Just have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, just have fun with it. Get one. If your buddy gets one, run it. I think this is really going to take off, and it's just going to be a lot of fun to see what everybody does with it.
Yeah. It's exciting to see your passion. Like, believe in this. You're not here because you have to be. You're doing this on a Saturday night because you believe in this, and you
absolutely love it.
Love it. And I thought that was important for people to actually hear it come right from your mouth, and can't put it out there any other way. Just let you deliver the message, and that can definitely get people energized and awesome around. Tell them, just get out there and get one and enjoy it.
Yeah, have some fun with it. Guys, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to do that. I love connecting with you guys, love hearing the questions. It is so important that we get to connect with our audience and not just run with our own assumptions. We are never looking to make what we do in a vacuum. So
and that does not go unnoticed. I'm telling you, boots on the ground, the RC community will recognize that. People that matter, they see what you guys do and how you interact, and that goes a long way.
Yeah.
All right, I think we'll let them out of here. Again, thank you so much, Matt.
All right, thank you guys. Take care.
All right,
thank you.
Let's clean him up. We'll drag that out forever. So sometimes it's just easier to rip the Band-Aid off and say,
"Yeah, let the man enjoy his Saturday."
Give him a little bit of a Saturday night.
We stole an hour and a half from the man.
Dude, we got snow dropping down here. I gotta go pick up the wife. She's over at Brent's house.
Be careful.
We got snow that turned into ice. It's literally like a sheet of ice out there. It's nasty. So I'm gonna go head out and get her.
All right.
We didn't get a chance to look at your workbench this week or mine, but it didn't matter. This was all about the Gila Monster tonight.
Yep.
Make sure you get the name pronounced right. But Jeremy, I'm going to tee this one back up for you. Swing us back around. What's important? We need to make sure we are following along on YouTube and everything else. What is the etiquette? Like, comment, share. Take it away.
So subscribe to the Rad Show at Ease RC. It's free, doesn't cost anything, and you'll know when a video comes up. I do have videos coming. I promise you, I have videos coming. People have been nudging me. I'm back.
You've been storing up the content.
I've been hoarding up the content, and I've had a lot of builds going on, so I got a lot to catch up on. So there's stuff to come as the weather starts to break, and I'm going to be stuck in this house for a little while, so I need to I need to get some of that stuff done. But if you're over on Facebook and you're watching this, next time come in on the YouTube side. The majority of our audience is on YouTube, and that's what pays the bill sometimes. So join us over there and jump off of Facebook. But we do advertise on Facebook. But if you're subbed, you already know.
Come back to YouTube and subscribe here, because like you said earlier, putting this kind of work in week after week is not easy. And even with the video, running the Gila Monster this morning, coming right back home to throw together a quick edit, I was doing that right up until 5:30, like grinding to try to get this crap done. Not crap. I do it because we love it, but sometimes it's a hard push.
And Joshua, I'm in Maryland. I'm in Havre de Grace, Maryland, so top of the Chesapeake Bay. Mike is in Pennsylvania, out by Philadelphia.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Yay,
sports. Hey, before I let you go, did you see Cletus McFarland in the ARCA race today?
No.
You are missing out. If there's ever I love me some NASCAR. And then I started to hate me some NASCAR.
Where are we at now?
Now we're at Cletus McFarland is fucking writing the path. Bald Eagles were flying. Like, it was Daytona with Cletus is fire, dude. Fire.
Wow.
He crashed out early, but his interview, I swear, was the best one I've heard since probably the late 90s from a NASCAR driver. Like, dude is totally real. It was amazing. You need to watch that. His next race is Talladega. So when Talladega comes up, you need to be paying attention. Cletus is running ARCA. Amazing. Anyway, that's all I got.
NASCAR. And so is KOH done? So we go back now to what page? Somewhere on YouTube to go back and recap, find the highlights.
For KOH, you can go to, on YouTube. KOH has their own
channel.
Ultra 4 ranking.
Yep.
There's a bunch of people that were out there doing videos. If you're into Trail Mater, he did a bunch of videos.
I just think this connects to the Gila Monster release so much. I know they want to say it doesn't, but there's some things here to tie back
together. Buggies on the mind. They've seen what buggies look like.
Buggies on the mind.
The coverage of hammers is better than it's ever been. They're like at 50 drones, and I mean, it's so much better than it used to be.
We got multiple camera angles now.
Yeah, you got everything going on. We watched the UTV break in half. Like, it was awesome. And we got to watch that on video as it happened.
Wow.
Which was phenomenal.
I need to go right over to Amazon as soon as we hang up here and order me a Bluetooth.
The Bluetooth module for the DX radio is, and you don't leave it in. Like, you put it in, you program it, and you take it back out, and you can use it again later. So,
I mean, if you mention the T word, the TRAX word, they've been doing something very similar. You had to get the Bluetooth module, hook it up to the phone. So it's not that it's new territory for me. I just need one for this controller.
Yeah. So Horizon Spectrum's been doing it for that radio since it was released.
No kidding.
There's a lot of option parts out there.
I just never noticed this piece up here. I need to go back and I need to go back.
You
and
can pop that out. They have a GoPro mount that snaps in there. But that Bluetooth is what plugs in. There's four little pinholes up there. So
sometimes hidden in plain sight is the best place.
Yeah. So the Bluetooth is a programmer that you can use on your
app.
Your phone as an app, and you can set all your endpoints. You can change the 3-position switch to be momentary or active, or like you can do all that, change it from a 2-position to a 3-position, blah blah blah. So it lets you fine tune those radios without playing Tetris and doing all the buttons and twists and yeah.
Sign me up. Say no more. That is like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
I think it was only $12
Oh,
for that
jeez.
little Bluetooth piece. It's super cheap.
I need it. I want it. It makes sense. You're going to need it with the ASD. And if you're going to do ASD up front,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer for this platform.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And when you reuse that radio, you step up to the DX5 or 6, and you have that radio sitting around, and you want to put it into, you know, something that only has 3 channels, like lights.
Yeah.
On an optic or something, you know, you just have forward, reverse steering, and that little button. You can use it for a winch or lights, but you can change the endpoints with that little module. So it gives you some flexibility for an older thing. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, homie. It's too much. That was too much fun. Everybody, go check out the Gilamon. Gilamon. Don't put the not stir. Gilamon. Gilamon. And I know every review was the same way. They focused so much attention on get the pronunciation right. It's the Gilamon.
Yeah. No step on Gilamon.
Love it. That is fantastic. Jeremy, thank you again for a Saturday night and your time. Addie's RC during the week. Rad Show on a Saturday night. This is where you will find him. And thank you all for hanging out here till the end. Are you putting our jersey, our team jersey back on? You took one for the team early on.
We both showed up with the same fucking sweatshirt.
This is going to be a meme now. This is getting screenshotted now.
There you go.
Now they got it.
It wasn't planned. I'm just trying to stay warm.
You got the memo.
All right, guys. Thanks.
All right. Let me close this out. And farewell. My big thumbs will send you out of here with a